Hi, this is Angela with Scrapbook Techniques. Thanks so much for joining me. Tonight, we are going to be talking about using embossing ink pens and some embossing powder to go through and to embellish some of our own embellishments and to make them just a little fancier than just a sheet of cardstock, or in this case, a little picture my life card. Okay, so you can tell as I hold up this particular piece, you can see how the tell has some gloss to it, has a little bit of dimension, versus the story is very flat. Okay, the tell used to look just like story until I used some of my superfine clear embossing powder on it and heat set it. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Here's a couple of more examples for you. This cute little card of the Eiffel Tower. You can see how the Eiffel Tower itself, I colored it in with my brush embossing marker. And you can see how now that Eiffel Tower really does kind of stand out and has a little bit of dimension from the rest of the flat card. On this particular card, I decided that I wanted the flowers to kind of stand out a little bit, the pink and the blue. So I applied, I used again my brush embossing pen, and I heat set it again with just my clear embossing powder because I wanted those underlying colors to definitely show through. Okay, so this is what we're going to practice with and kind of play with tonight. So let's go through the supplies that you need. As you can see, I am currently on my silicone craft mat. This protects, I have a glass surface under this, so this protects the glass from heat. I have this wonderful technical baby food. It's actually a baby formula dispenser that I used to use when my daughter was tiny and had to be on special formula. And in this, I love this little container because it fits well, it doesn't leak. And if it dumps over, it's not really going to spill much because of the shape of it. And you can see here, I've got my clear gloss, super fine embossing powder in it. And I just have a little label on there. That's very Cricut. And oh well. Okay, so we're going to be using that tonight. I have my embossing pan here. This is a really old one I have from Recollections. I like this because it has this front on it, and I don't feel like I spill as much embossing powder as I'm putting it back. It does have a place for a cap, however, I keep that out of there. I have my little handle it tools from Ranger, so to help with smaller cards or smaller embellishments. This will help kind of keep your fingers from getting burnt. I have my wonderful little, this is an old Perfect Pearls paintbrush. And I basically use this to help clean out my tray between embossings. And so that's kind of dedicated. It's kind of white, it matches with this, and it's kind of dedicated to that. I have my powder tool from Close to My Heart, and I just keep it in this little case because, yes, guess what? It does get powdery. I have my Versamark stamp pad and my finger dauber. However, I'm not going to use these tonight. I'm only going to use the pens. This I would use if I was going to come in and do like stamping or do a really large service. I would use this. But tonight I have it out just in case I need it, but I don't think I'm really going to need it. And these are going to be the stars of our show tonight. These are the Close to My Heart embossing ink pens, and they come 3 to a pack. There is a brush, there is a broad tip, and there is a medium tip. So basically it will do anything that we like to do. I think I mentioned I did this with a brush. I did this with the medium tip, and I did this with a combination of the medium and the brush for the bigger flowers. Okay, so we'll use probably all 3 tonight, definitely 2 of them. I'm also going to use the Picture My Life cards from Cosette, which is our kit of the month this month. And we're going to play around with these a little bit because I'm going to use these on my memory journal pages. And so I want to be able to have just a little bit more embellishment on these and just give them a little bit of life. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, let me tell you a story. And I want to take this story and make it match the tell so that these words kind of fade into the background and the tell story is really what is prevalent. Okay, To do this, I am going to take of course, it's the last one I pull up, the medium pen. See, even though it says medium, that's a pretty fine tip. And all I'm going to do right now is I am going to carefully take this pen and trace the lines of story. Making sure I stay as close to the lines as I can. There we go. All right. So now if you can see this, it has just a slight little gloss to it. What I'm going to do now is take my super fine clear. So this is clear. And I'm using clear because I want that underlying color of mist to come through. I don't want to change my color at all. Okay, so I'm going to put enough on there to make sure that it's fully coated. We're not going to waste this. We're going to put it back into the container here in just a little bit. Okay, and we're going to shake it off just a bit. I can use my brush if I see, any little tails, but you can see it looks just kind of like matted right now. Okay, I'm then going to take my heat tool here and I'm going to start heating this up. And I like to hold it at an angle because I can start to see the exact point when the embossing powder starts to melt. There you go. You're starting to see that shimmer and shine kind of come through. Perfect. So we don't want to over emboss it, but we want to make sure we get it to that exact right level of heating. And now you can see the tell and the story both have that little bit of shimmer, that little bit of gloss to them. And if we touch them, we would see that they do feel just a little bit raised. So I now have created an embossed card out of just a straight, flat, plain card. Okay, let's do a couple more examples. First of all, let's take care of our excess embossing powder back here. You will see why I love these two tools together. They come in just perfectly with very little spillage. I'm using my brush. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to come back with this same color. But let's work now. So you kind of saw what we did there with the lines. Now what I'd like to do is color in these leaves and these gorgeous flowers. And to do that, I'm now going to use my brush. Okay. And again, it looks just like your normal Tombow brushes, anything at all like that. And what I'm going to do is just carefully come in and color each of my flowers. Do it somewhat quickly. It doesn't have to be done perfectly quickly, because these pens take a while to dry, and that's what we want. Okay, but I'm going to focus on all of my flowers here first. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to get my leaves. Okay, and you can see my embossing pen is still nice and wet. Now I'm not going to do the stems, and I'm purposely doing that because I like that effect of having the flowers and the leaves stand out as being embossed and not having the stems being embossed, because again, they're not my focal point. My focal point are these gorgeous flowers, okay? You can see it's still nice and wet. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in, dump our embossing powder down. Now you'll notice that I'm not using my little chalk tool. And the reason why is because it is April, but we are still getting tons of snow here in the mountains. So it's not very dry here. So therefore, I am not having a lot of static. If you live in a really dry place like I do, this really helps. And I'll show you how to use it on the next one, even though we really don't need to, but it's important to know how to use it if you have a lot of static. All right. Now I'm going to grab my little hand holder here and turn my heat tool on. I apologize for the noise. And again, what we're going to look for is for this matte look to go away and for that really neat shine and dimension, there it comes, start to come out. Okay, it works best and the embossing powder will set quickest if you hold it up off the table, very similar to what I'm doing here, because then your embossing powders will melt quicker because you're only heating up the paper. You're not having to heat up the surface underneath it. All right, I think that looks perfect. So let's take a look here at what we've got. Okay, caution, your paper will be a little bit hot, but you can see now all of those flowers and leaves have this great textured. I haven't altered the colors any, which I didn't want to do because I wanted to stay true to the colors of this kit, because I still want all of these cards to be able to go together. But you can see I have these cute little flowers that are now embossed on there. Okay, now I do recommend doing something like this in like a batch process. Let's do something a little bit bigger. Okay, again, let's clean up super quick. Again, I'm going to stick my little containers together here. I'm going to brush back in all of that excess. Again, it's not perfect, but that's okay. Okay, what I'd like to do now is go through and do these butterflies. Oops, sorry about that. All right, and again, I'm going to grab 2 pens this time. I'm going to grab the brush and I'm going to grab the medium, okay? And so what I want to do is I just want to come in, color in these butterflies completely. And so I'm doing that with the brush pen here, okay? Now, I'm usually not a huge butterfly person, but these little guys were especially cute, I thought. So I'm going to do that on each one of them here, super quick. I want to do these all at one time. It is best if you can, especially if you have a heat gun like mine that is only a 1 setting. It is best to try to do all of your embossing all at one time. And to do that, you really do need a very good quality of embossing ink pen, because if not, it'll dry out before you get finished coloring all 3 of these. Okay, and again, I'm just making sure I've got these black outlines really, really well so that we really see all of that stand out. I'm going to use my medium to come in here and do their antennas, just because those are a little finer, and I don't think my brush would do a very good job with that. All right, let's get our embossing powder on. All right, here we go. And again, I'm just making sure to cover them all completely. Doesn't matter how much I use because we're just going to throw the excess right back into this container. Okay, let it sit for just a few seconds. Okay, we're going to shake it off. One thing that I've done but I haven't mentioned, always take your embossing powder, move it out of the way before you start up your heat gun. Okay, I'm going to use my little handlers again. And I'm just going to start going through here. Now these are a little bigger. So you'll be able to see this heat embossing, and you'll be able to see all of these little fine particles start to melt together. There we go. Look at the little black and blue guy over here on this end. And now look at the yellow in the middle. You can see he's getting that gorgeous glossy texture. And here comes our pink one. Okay. Oh my gosh, that looks just awesome. Okay. Actually makes it look like those are actual embellishments on this card instead of just a printed card. So, which is always really nice. And it's a way to be able to really kind of jazz up your pages quickly, but without having to go through and find a whole bunch of different embellishments and all of that. Okay. So that kind of shows you how to do all of those types of things. Let's talk about, let's say, for example, I have this piece of paper and I really like this, but I thought it was kind of plain. Okay. What I'm going to do is these are fairly small. So I'm going to come in with my medium ink pen, and I'm just going to start coloring in a bunch of these little hearts up in here. Okay, I am going to go ahead and do them all. Probably already did that one. It's a little hard to see. Standing back so that my head's not in the camera. Okay. I'm just trying to do just a little piece here that I can use as a bit of an embellishment on this page. Okay, I'll come down one more row. Okay. Okay, I think that's great. Oh, let's put this right back into here super quick so that our embossing pens don't dry. There we go. Let's put our paper in really quick. Again, I'm going to coat this end down here with the embossing powder and making sure I get all of those little hearts covered up. Again, make sure you get it good. Don't skimp on the embossing powder. It's only going to stick where it needs to and only as much as it needs. Okay, shake that off a bit. Ah, perfect. And now, this is a pretty big piece of paper. I don't think I need my little handlers. So now let's slip this in and get this to start to give us some embossed words. There you go. You can see they're already starting to form. And all we're doing is just that cute little stream on there. Now you don't want to over emboss. Okay, I don't want to overheat, I should say. If you overheat it, it will burn the paper. And it just kind of levels it all out, and it's no longer pretty and sparkly. Okay. You can see as we look at this top part of my cardstock, it's a little harder for you to see on camera, but we have some really cute little embossed hearts versus down here, we just have some plain hearts. There you go. There you can see them a little bit better as I kind of twist and turn it like that. Okay, so don't stop there. Think about what embellishments you might have laying around that you'd really like to see kind of come to life. Okay, this is a watercolored embellishment that I did. And I'm just going to show you quickly with this. This will be our last one. I'm going to use the brush on this. And all I'm going to do is go over these cute little leaves. Okay, so remember, this is something I stamped with our intense black ink. I watercolored it with some Distress Oxides. You'll see that video. I believe that was video 1 in this series. Okay, now because this is so tiny, I am literally just going to dip it in here. I wouldn't normally do that, but just because it's so tiny, it'll be just fine. Okay, definitely going to use my little hands on this because that is way tiny and will burn my fingers. And now let's start to heat this up. There we go. See, it's already turning. Okay, the amount of time will depend on how big of a space and the type of embossing powder that you're using. Okay, this particular embossing powder is a super fine, meaning it goes on very, very thin, and it creates just a nice thin glossy layer here. That's all that it does. And I really like it because it's quick. It creates a great effect, and it never does affect the colors underneath. You can see these are the exact same colors that still go with this kit. Okay, so let's take a quick look in review of what we've done. Okay, so a couple of examples I had for you at the very beginning where I just did the flowers. I left the stalks and the leaves and all of that flat, so you get just a little bit of that shimmer there. My favorite here of the Eiffel Tower, to where I did the entire Eiffel Tower, but I left the rest of this distressed card just flat. Okay. Remember, we started with the tell, and it was all raised and glossy, and now we have the story. And again, you can touch over this. It's not like a glitter or even like a shimmer pen. This isn't going to go away, and it does have some dimension to it. So you get that added texture and dimension, which has been our whole goals. Okay. And then we had our cute little flowers and leaves that we did on this. But again, we did not do the stems because we really wanted to call the attention to the flowers and the leaves. We had our cute little butterflies. It actually turned out wonderfully. You can see the bigger the image, the more of that consistent effect that you get. And again, it looks like I put 3 like epoxy type or other type of embellishment just on this card. And then last but not least, my own embellishment that I created I stamped, I colored, and I die cut. And this is from one of the Cosette stamp plus thin cut section or sets, excuse me. And so we've got all of these here. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that you learned something from this video. I would love to see what you create. This actually goes along, this particular technique is what we are using in our Scrapbook Techniques 2023-04 weekly challenge. These are weekly challenges. And this challenge itself is talking about supplies. Create either a scrapbook or a memory journal layout. Take a selfie and document your 3 favorite things right now. Use as many pieces of paper as you want, but at least 2 journal cards. Any idea why I might have been altering these a little bit? Yeah, for this challenge. Ideas is this challenge. Techniques. Use an embossing pen and powder to emphasize your layout. So here you can see I've emphasized an embellishment. Here I've emphasized some cards. You can do any color combination. Of course, mine is going to match this, which is the Cosette colors. I use a distressing tool, sandpaper, file, etc. I'll definitely do that on my layout. Use embossing powder, which of course we've done. Add a piece of metal to your layout. Maybe it's staples or clips or pens, etc. Create a 15. This is our what can you do in 15 minutes a day to stay creative. And we're working on organizing our clear stamps this month, okay? And so now we've gathered all of our clear stamps already. That was the previous 2 weeks challenge. And this week, it's now starting to sort all of your clear stamps into how you think of using them. Do you reach for them by manufacturer, by theme? How is it you look for things, okay? How do you enter? Upload your finished project with this hashtag on it, Scrapbook Techniques 2023-04. Upload your finished product to the pinned post on Scrapbook Techniques' Facebook page. Okay, must be done. This is an April challenge, so it must be uploaded by the end of the month, 4:30. Okay, as always, please leave me a comment below if you have any questions or comments. I'd love to hear from you. I'd especially love to see it if you participate in the challenge, because I think this will be a lot of fun. So you can see this little flyer here is just done with a couple of scraps of Cosette paper, some filing along the edge of my toffee cardstock, a little bit of inking. There's my metal staples, and then just a few more little scraps, a scrap of book page and a few more scraps of Cosette, and a little bit of a honey butter die cut here. So super easy, lots of fun. Come and join us over on the Scrapbook Techniques Facebook page. We'd love to have you. And again, don't forget to subscribe below so you'll get notification of each one of these videos that'll be coming out each week and each of the challenges as well. And then don't forget to click the bell as well so that you can be notified when we post our new videos, which are typically on Wednesdays or Thursdays. Okay, thank you so much and have a great day.